Kamala Harris was just on Fox News and it was a complete disaster, but please do not just take my word for it. I thought it would be interesting to see what Republicans have to say about this interview and what Democrats have to say about this interview, and even what independents have to say about this interview. I wanted us to have a menu of perspectives today. So check this out. I will play just one short clip of the interview, and then we could dive into the perspectives. But this little 1 minute clip is probably one of the most viral, talked about moments from today. Check this out.
But
you call
let's not
Donald
diminish
Trump.
the significance
you
of that.
call Donald Trump. You say now
He's
he
unstable.
is unstable.
He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
You talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking to President Biden at a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand.
But
this is so frustrating to me. As a voter, as an independent, I am so frustrated by Kamala Harris's inability to answer a simple question, as well as dodging it, as well as attacking President Trump's health during this entire process. You cannot critique one side while simply ignoring the other. It comes across fake and disingenuous. I don't like it. But anyways, like I said, don't just take my word from it. Take these other Republicans, Democrats, and independents. But also, I think you should all watch this entire interview, right? It's about 27 minutes long. It was supposed to be longer, but apparently Kamala Harris showed up late and they had to cut it short. But the whole thing is available to watch right now on X, right? I saw, someone that I liked reacting to the entire thing, but now the entire thing is actually shared I saw it from Trump War Room, their handle, but I've seen it everywhere at this point. So if you guys want to watch the whole thing, I absolutely think you should. But for now, let's get into the perspectives. What are people actually saying about it? Well, one perspective that I liked was from Megyn Kelly, right? The journalist or reporter, host of the Megyn Kelly show. She wrote this: he's got her dead to rights and she is filibustering. I think this perfectly summarizes essentially the entire thing, right? She had some heavy swings and I don't want to say it was fatal, because at the end of the day, I think Republicans saw what they wanted to see, and so did Democrats. And that's why I wanted to make this video. This is true from Megyn Kelly. This is another tweet that she wrote. It is that 1, she hates Trump, and 2, she knows nothing other than point 1. She had this entire 26 minutes to make better arguments other than blaming Trump, and she ultimately failed on that. Every question consisted of Trump. She, at the end of the day, is running an anti-Trump campaign instead of running a pro-Kamala campaign, and that is evident, and people do not like it. We even have another post by Buck Sexton. He says, "I've seen enough. Kamala is done. DONE, done. Trump is winning this election, 0 doubts." Also, I don't know if you guys have seen this. I don't have this pulled up, but according to Polymarket, Trump is up to 60% right now. 60%. And Kamala, low 40s. We've never seen that before. Insane. Even Brett Cooper, this is actually super funny. Brett Cooper, I need to like this. Brett Cooper wrote, "Yeah, I don't think she's going on Rogan after this interview. LOL caps, time to hide her away and post about girl power." I wouldn't be surprised if this is her entire strategy moving forward, because it really was not a good look. But again, this is about perspectives. All right. And you cannot talk about Democratic perspectives without bringing up the infamous love him or hate him, Harry Sisson. He literally calls her brilliant. I think this is insane. We are not in agreement at all, but for the sake of sharing perspectives, I need to share it. Harry Sisson writes, this Fox News interview Kamala Harris is doing is a master class in political communication. Are you saying political communication as in you're dodging questions left and right? You're ignoring the obvious and you're just dancing around things? Because if that's what you mean by political communication, that's what you're calling a master class, then I got to give it to you. But I personally, I don't know. I like the unrefined nature that is President Trump and how he answers questions a lot more, because at least he doesn't dance around it. Okay, especially with what we saw the other day with Bloomberg and Trump. It was crazy. But he goes on to say Brett Baer continues to try to pull gotcha moments and it's not working. It's not working? Really? It's not working? Let me see how many views this one video that AOX reshared. Right now it had 13,000 views. Let's see if it was working. Yeah, over 100,000 views. This was shared an hour ago. Right, let's look at another one. I wasn't even planning on sharing this, but just for the sake of gotcha moments. Oh, this one has 1.1 million views. Okay, did the gotcha moment work? Let's see, 2.1 million views as of RN. What about this clip that we actually just watched right now? Let's see if this gotcha moment worked. Let's see, 200,000 views. No, oh my goodness, 1.8 million views. Okay, so Harry, it's not working? Are you sure? Are you sure? Let's look back at the comments actually, just so we could be sure. I think she got burdened by what was. Oh. If she can't listen to a guy 3 feet from her, how can we expect she'll listen to the American people? Oh, wow. Wow, what a great perspective. Kamala's pure incompetence. Okay, the next one. Kamala completely bombed and it was glorious. All I heard was, but Trump, Trump, Trump for 30 minutes. Literally. Do you guys remember saying, like, apparently over the past 20 years, like, the Democrats held office 16 of those years, but apparently Trump being in office 4 years caused all these problems? Again, what frustrates me is Kamala Harris's inability to take responsibility, right? She does the shimmy every time she's pressed, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't think the American people like it. I personally think they deserve better. But you know what? Some Democrats watch this. Let me know what you think. Do you think she's great? Apparently, Harry Sisson does. He continues and says she's focusing on the issues, not the semantics. Brilliant. Harry Sisson. He also has another tweet that says, wow. Oh my gosh. He literally calls her flawless. Harry Sisson calls Kamala Harris flawless. Have you guys ever heard of that? That is insane. First of all, I don't think we should be calling any politician flawless, but geez, he says Kamala Harris was flawless in that Fox News interview. She answered tough questions, did she? And discussed the issues. Could you imagine Trump sitting down with Jen Psaki or Rachel Maddow? It would be a disaster. Honey, this was a true masterclass from VP Harris. Sure. Again, agree with it, don't agree with it. This is about the menu perspectives here. We even have another person praising the performance. He says, with a host performing for an audience of one, Kamala Harris did a great job pushing through what was a rude and misleading interview. Very surprised. I applaud that she called him out for showing a clip that did not represent the topic at hand. This is what they do. You know, when that moment happened, what immediately came to my mind was, wait a second. Your entire campaign is about misrepresenting clips and showing things out of context. This is what you are building your presidency on. It's misleading people. And now, whenever someone actually provides context right in front of your face, you're saying, no, that actually wasn't right. How dare you? You are, again, running away, scared, and you're not answering the question, and I don't think that's fair. And to me, you're running from it instead of running towards it, and you're saying it's okay when I do it, but it's not okay when you do it. I don't buy it. Another perspective was actually from this panel on CNN, and they had an interesting take on this, which is why I wanted to show it. They described Kamala Harris's strategy as the Google strategy, kind of the same thing that we saw from Pete Buttigieg, and I thought it was worth sharing. Check this out.
I think it's a win for that campaign.
Now that's exactly. I totally agree, Ashley. I think this strategy from Harris was a Google strategy. She wanted Fox viewers to start to Google some of the things she was saying, because some of the comments she was making in this interview are foreign to the Fox audience. For example, General Mark Milley saying Trump is a fascist to the core. That's barely been covered on Fox News. So she was able to get some of those talking points in. This was the most adversarial interview Kamala Harris has probably ever done. Instead of getting to debate Trump again, she got to debate Bret Baier. And a lot of viewers are going to come away saying, wow, she's willing to do that. That's a sign of toughness and strength.
I like how their argument was, wow, she's able to do a tough interview. I am so happy to be voting for Kamala Harris. Really? A tough interview? Are you kidding? What about all the interviews and press conferences and all these other things that President Trump does left and right, dealing with mainstream media and all these harsh journalists and reporters attacking him time and again? You don't say that, you don't praise him for that kind of strength, for that kind of toughness. Why? Because at the end of the day, we shouldn't applaud that behavior because it's expected. We shouldn't say you're doing such a good job here because that's what you're supposed to do. That is the job. It's like let's say Kamala Harris, working at McDonald's, right? I could talk here because whenever I was in high school, I worked in Burger King, I absolutely loved it. It's like someone giving me a gold sticker for saying, "Hey, great job for being able to take that person's order." Like, that's what's expected of me. This is the job. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't buy it. Anyways, that's the Democratic perspectives here. And now I want us to go into some perspectives from independents coming from the independent, a strong voice into this movement. And I really like this guy. His name's Link Lauren. I think everyone should go and follow him. He's great. And the caption is Kamala Harris just finished her Fox News interview, and it was an utter calamity. Check this out.
Kamala Harris just sat down for an interview on Fox News, and it was an utter calamity. I took copious notes, and let's just say joy has left the building. What became abundantly clear in this interview is that Kamala Harris, because she's never been pressed before, the second you press her on anything, she crumbles. She cracks and crumbles like a fortune cookie that's been run over by an 18-wheeler. Shattered. Right from the beginning, she was asked about immigration, which is her least favorite subject because she's overseen the worst immigration crisis in American history. She immediately tries to blame Donald Trump for the crisis at the border, but Bret Baier, he says, no, you guys rolled back all of those executive measures like Remain in Mexico that were keeping the crisis under control. Kamala continues to talk about this amnesty bill she was pushing her first day in office. That was a bill that would have given citizenship to 11 million migrants. In 2021, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they had the House, the Senate, and the White House. She is lying when she says Donald Trump is responsible for the crisis at the border. Another key moment is that for the first time ever, Kamala Harris was asked, when did you know Joe Biden was in cognitive decline? You would think she has an answer rehearsed for this, but she says, well, Biden's not on the ballot. Trump's on the ballot. Biden's not on the ballot. Yes, sweetheart, we know that. That's why you're sitting here. Kamala, maybe you stopped at Chili's on the way to the interview for a couple of margaritas, but we understand Joe Biden is no longer on the ballot because you, Nancy Pelosi, and other Democrats shanked him and threw him out like the trash. Throughout the interview, when Kamala Harris does not have answers for Bret Baier's question, she says, well, Donald Trump, he's unstable. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Well, guess what? Donald Trump is beating you in many of these polls. She really got hit with the reverse Uno card, whatcha? Because if Donald Trump is so terrible, why are you not beating him by a landslide? She was also asked in the interview about turning the page. We're going to turn a new page. This is a new way forward. And Bret was like, haven't you been around for the last 4 years? What are we turning the page from? She really tried to say, we're turning the page from Donald Trump. Kamala, you have... Kamala was also asked in the interview about comments she made back in 2019 about paying for transgender people to have surgeries in prison. Every time she was asked about her record, she would say, I'm going to follow the law. I will follow the law. Why don't you have an answer for why you have flip-flopped on so many policies in such a short time span? Now, the most egregious part of this interview is actually what happened off camera, and we found out afterward that Kamala Harris, she showed up late, they tried to whittle it down to 20 minutes, and then she had 4 staffers waving their arms frantically, trying to shut it down. Now, like I always say, I'm not owned by the RNC or the DNC. The only thing I'm beholden to is the truth. And the truth is, if Kamala Harris cannot handle a tough interview with substantive questions, how is she going to take on Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, and other world leaders? Kamala Harris talks about her record as a DA, as an attorney general, and she says she's this great attorney. I would rather have Elle Woods from Legally Blonde represent me in court than Kamala Harris. The way Kamala Harris was so unprepared for this interview speaks to my thesis that Kamala does not like to do hard work. The only way to get her to work is to leave a trail of margaritas into the Oval Office like Hansel and Gretel. What really cracks me up is that Kamala Harris talks about all these things she wants to pass when she gets into office. Well, number 1, why haven't you done it the last 4 years? Number 2, I don't even think Kamala could pass a breathalyzer test. Now, we still have many questions Kamala Harris has not answered for. What about the allegations against her husband, Doug Emhoff? From the things I've read and the allegations against her husband, I want to know, does Kamala Harris have to wear a hockey mask on date night? These are pretty damning allegations against Doug Emhoff. Something else no one has asked Kamala Harris about is that a few weeks ago, she was talking about doing price capping on groceries, eggs, milk, you name it. I want to know what happened to that. Is that still a policy she's pushing for? Another moment that really stuck out to me from the interview is that Kamala Harris was talking about Donald Trump, and she said, you are responsible for your administration. Well, Kamala Harris, you just gave them the best attack ad they could have ever asked for. Following Kamala Harris's logic, if they're responsible for their administration, then you are responsible for yours. In conclusion, I imagine whoever scheduled this interview is probably being fired, and Kamala, they're definitely going to have to restock the mini fridge in her hotel room tonight. All right, thanks for liking and following. Drop a comment. Tell me how you feel about Kamala.
That was so good. Link Lauren always hits the nail on the head. It is impeccable. Calling her an utter calamity. I saw one of his comments on TikTok called her, no, not an utter calamity. She was the whole calamity. She was a total calamity. And I gotta say, I'm in agreement. But again, like we said, this is the independence portion of the video. And I just saw this by Anna Matson, and her reaction I just thought was really valuable. And it was, let me summarize the entire Kamala Harris interview from Fox. Vote for me because I'm not Donald Trump. My failures are because Donald Trump. Is that about right? And I gotta tell you, from what I've been seeing, yes. But like I said earlier, I do think every single person should go ahead and watch this entire interview and pull their own conclusions from it. The reason I think this is valuable is because I think a lot of times whenever we're consuming political content, it's so easy to just consume the information that we want, right? This is confirmation bias at its finest. We consume the perspectives that are in alignment with our internal perspectives, because consuming something that doesn't really align with us, it kind of makes our brain hurt and scatter. And we don't like doing that. We like consuming the content that already tells us what we already believe. Okay. But I think doing this is just generally really helpful. I think it's great to see where the Democrats stand on this. I think it's great to see where Republicans stand on this. And I think it's great to see where independents stand on this, because at the end of the day, whether you're a Democrat, whether you're a Republican, whether you are an independent, we are still side by side. We are still the American people, and we are all voting for one of these candidates. So I think that is really valuable. So let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know which perspective you are most in alignment with, whether it's with the conservatives or the liberals or the independents. Let me know. I'm really excited to see your perspective on this in the comment section. Let's continue to push the conversation over there, and I can't wait to read it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate your time so much, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to support what we're building here, please please like and subscribe. It means a lot and it really helps us out. And if you want to see even more content from me, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be sharing a lot more on there. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.